Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome once again to the weekly live webinar presented by Affinity Federal Credit Union. My name is Oscar Cordova, and I am the External Affairs Specialist here at Affinity. I am in charge of the financial education efforts for the credit union in the areas that we serve. Today's topic it will be about college planning, and we have a presenter. His name is Ed Gonzalez. He's an assistant director, assistant region head for the Northeast for Sallie Mae. So Ed has been in the industry for the last, for over 20 years. And in his capacity, Ed oversees a team of the relationship managers that work with college and university financial aid, bursar, and admission offices. And they provide products and services utilized by schools, students, and family. Before we begin, I just want to mention to everybody that this webinar is being recorded, and you will receive the link to rewatch this webinar at a later time, later this evening. Also, if you guys have any questions that you guys want to ask while Ed is presenting, feel free to use your Q&A option on your panel. Ed will be more than happy to address those questions at the end of the webinar. With that said, I'll turn it over to Ed. Ed, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon to present this great topic.
Oh, thank you very much, Oscar. My pleasure, and we thank Affinity for having us. So as mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about college planning this afternoon. Sometimes a daunting topic, but with the right resources and the right set of information available, we hope that it would be as seamless as possible. In terms of college, we do a survey every year called How America Pays for College. And one of the most outstanding statistics that come out of the survey is that even still, obviously 2 years into the pandemic, 95% of parents believe a college education is an investment in their child's future. An education of any kind. I do want to caveat that. So the survey does, go into the different categories, but an education of any kind. So that being said, what we're going to learn today. So we're going to go over some various resources to pay for college. We're going to touch on the scholarships and grants that are available, help you find them, give you some tips on applying. We're going to refer to the FAFSA, which is the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, that is utilized for all federal aid. We'll go over some student loan options and understand how they can supplement any of the free money or the scholarships or grants that you're able to attain. We're going to show you a sample financial aid offer, sometimes referred to as a financial aid award letter, something that you'll have to get familiar with. So we'll show you a sample and go over the different line items that make up that offer, and then take a look at some other ways to pay for the remaining gap for anything that is not covered by scholarships, grants, or any other resources. Okay, so by starting out, when we say ways to pay for college, we generally narrow that down into 3 different categories. And at Sallie Mae, we call it a 1, 2, 3 approach to paying for college. The first point is to start with money that you do not have to pay back. And that money that you won't have to pay back can come in the form of savings, such as 529 plans, scholarships, as I mentioned earlier, grants that result in eligibility based on that FAFSA application, and other sources of free money, cash payments in the form of payment plans made directly to the school, etc. The second option, or the second step of the process, is to explore the federal student loan options that are available. There are 2 main types of federal loans that students can be eligible to receive. And those programs do have caps on the amounts that they can receive based on their year of study. So based on their grade level, freshman all the way up through graduate school. Then we take a look at what other resources there are. And in this case, we'll hone in on some responsible private student loans that are popular in the marketplace. So scholarships, scholarships, many people misunderstand, think that they have to be an academic overachiever to receive scholarships. You don't have to be number one in your class or an all-star athlete to get free money for college. Scholarships can be need-based, they can be merit-based, or they can be based on hobbies, a field of study, a specific career. There are scholarships for different religious preferences, ethnicities, other types of socioeconomic demographics. There's scholarships for, and I know that you probably get a little bit of a chuckle out of it, but for people that are specifically left-handed, or maybe like a left-handed violin player. So there is a universe of scholarships out there. And the one important thing to remember or to keep in mind about scholarships is that the scholarships won't come looking for you. You have to actually go out and look for that free money, whether it's by knocking on doors, looking up various websites, and we will go over a couple of resources that we do recommend that you utilize and utilize often while you're searching for scholarships. Some federal and state governments award some scholarships as well. The majority of scholarship funds, however, are awarded by private organizations and by organizations that are partnered with the specific college that the student enrolls in. Okay, so that's another important point to remember. I always recommend that the scholarship search include your employers, various community organizations, private companies, some not-for-profit organizations. I mentioned the religious groups. A good point of reference is to go down to either your local library or your local township office to look at the registered scholarships of your area, whether it be your town, your county, or your state, in addition to everything that is available online. Now, if we look at what's available online, we'll highlight here 3 scholarship search engines. And the first one is the Affinity Federal Credit Union scholarship link. Scholarship search engines, they vary by the content, by the number of individual scholarships, the total dollar amounts. So while there may be a whole list of scholarship resources available, we like to hone in on the 3 biggest ones. So key to finding things that are going to be easily searched for. Within a lot of these engines, you'll find ways to match yourself up with your either talents or your academic achievements or your areas of interest. And especially in the scholarship search that Affinity has in partnership with Sallie Mae, it's very intuitive and it matches you with all of the areas of interest that you select, and you get reminders on a regular basis about the new opportunities that are available. Many first-time questions are, when should I do this? There's never too early of a time to register or set up your profile in a scholarship search engine. Some of them have cutoff dates in terms of, at least be a freshman in high school or be 14, 15, 16 years of age, etc. But that is really up to the individual scholarship organization. However, all of these scholarships are for college expenses. So really the key is to know when the application, your senior year, becomes available, know the deadline dates, the window where the application is going to be available, what you need to do to fill out the application in its entirety. Some of them could be a little bit onerous and long application processes, but again, it's money, it's free money that is out there waiting for you. So just make sure that you're aware of all the steps that you need to go through for each individual scholarship that you're interested in. Okay, so we move on to the next area of free money, which would be the eligibility that's based on your FAFSA application. As I mentioned, the FAFSA application is a free application for federal student aid. It is the main factor in determining a student's eligibility for all federal, student, and some state-based financial aid programs. I'll give you New Jersey as an example. New Jersey grants are based on the information that you provide on the FAFSA. If you are a New Jersey resident, you indicate that you would like that information to be transferred over to the state application, and they will perform their eligibility measurement for state funding and notify you of those outcomes as well. Okay, so you have the federal grant free money, you have the state grant free money based on information that you're providing on the FAFSA application. To complete the FAFSA, what you need is your tax return. So if you are tax filers, you can take a look at the slide and see the category in which year is being asked for in terms of your tax return. Now, an important note here is that the FAFSA does need to be completed on an annual basis every year, beginning October 1st of your senior year. So October 1st is when the new application is available for the subsequent academic year. So this past October 1st, as an example, October 1st, 2021, the new application became available for the 22-23 academic year. So any of you with seniors in school right now had an opportunity beginning October 1st to complete the application, and that's going to determine your eligibility for federal aid for the 2022-2023 academic year, which will be your freshman year in college this coming fall. So if you take a look at that, you needed your tax return information from 2020 for this application. For next October 1st, 2022, for the 23-24 school year, so any juniors out there, you'll need your tax returns from 2021. And again, this is a process that is repeated every year. So now we move on to the last piece of the federal resources, which are federal student loans. So there's two different types of federal direct loans, a subsidized and an unsubsidized. With subsidized loans, the government pays the interest while the student is in school at least half time. So the student must be attending at least half time. They pay the interest and during the grace period, which is the 6 month after graduation timeframe prior to going into repayment. Okay, so for anything that you borrow subsidized, federal government pays the interest for the in-school period as well as the 6 month grace period upon completion of your education prior to going into repayment. Once you go into repayment, then the student is responsible for the interest that accumulates while you're in repayment. With unsubsidized loans, the borrower is responsible for the interest that accrues while you're in school and in grace. So the grace period, the in-school period, so no one is picking up the interest on the unsubsidized loans. You're not responsible for making payments while you're in school, but it is accumulating and then will get capitalized and added to your balance once you go into repayment. Okay, so based on your FAFSA application, based on your enrollment and the cost of education at your institution will prepare a financial aid offer for you, an award letter. So offers and award letters, it's the same thing, same document, which I'll show you in the next slide. There's no standard format, so every school will have its little nuances. So you will need to actually review the document carefully and completely. Financial aid offers may be delivered in many different ways, via mail, hard copy, maybe an email, or maybe in the portal of the university that you're going to be attending. So just be sure that you know, be sure that you ask during the admissions process, how is the financial aid award delivered? And keep in mind that the financial aid award, those awards are awarded to the student. So the offer is going to be addressed to the student and not to the parents. Okay. And within the award, the entire year will be broken up in two sections: a fall semester, traditionally a fall semester, and a spring semester. Okay. It will show you the estimated costs. It will show you how much aid the school is offering if you're getting any, let's say, academic merit-based aid, or any school-based need-based aid. It'll show you the additional resources that you've notified them of, such as scholarships. It'll show you the grants. It'll show you any other resource that is available to you based on either eligibility or based on conversations that have taken place and you've notified them that you have additional resources. Most importantly, it will show you your remaining balance, your remaining need. Okay, so your unmet need, which you would have to address in some fashion. So here's a sample financial aid offer, financial aid award letter. As you see, as I mentioned, the format will be slightly different, but the core of the information will be the same across the schools that you apply to. Categories for cost of attendance will include tuition and fees, the housing, the meal plan, if selected, any books and supplies, any other miscellaneous expenses such as transportation, or maybe the cost of a laptop, or anything else that is going to be calculated into an expense in the form of cost for you, brings you to the cost of attendance, right? So it's tuition and fees plus all of these other items. Grants and scholarships, again, based on your eligibility as designated by the information that you provide the FAFSA. Other awards, such as the academic scholarships and the various federal and state grants that are available. The net cost, so the cost of attendance minus what is considered this gift aid that you see there in terms of the grants and scholarships, the free money, right? Employment is another category that is based on your FAFSA eligibility. So if we're talking about the federal work study program, that would be determined, the amount, the dollar amount that you see here in this example, $2,500 for the year, $1,250 per semester, would be determined by the FAFSA. However, this is not an amount that is subtracted from the total bill. This is not a billable expense. This is simply the amount that your student can, if he or she is willing to or wants to, look for a job, find a job on campus in this program, and can receive pay, wages up to those amounts, and those wages go directly to the student. Okay, so they don't come off the bill. Student can certainly pay the bill with those proceeds, but those proceeds go directly to the student. Next line item you see here is the federal direct student loan, whether it's subsidized or unsubsidized. And what's important to note here is that all federal loans have a fee, and the payment to the school is the net proceeds. The fee gets taken out of disbursements before they are dispersed to the school. Then you see them being subtracted. And what results is an estimated remaining balance. So in this example of a total cost of attendance of $45,500 for the full year, you have a remaining estimated balance of $23,500, again, for the full year. Now, most schools will bill you by term, by semester. So in the fall, or leading up to the fall, where you have that estimated expense of $22,750, normally you'll get a bill in the July, early August timeframe, and it will be just for the remaining balance of, in this case, $11,750, again, per semester. Same thing will occur in the spring. Spring bills are generally sent out in November or December, again, to address the spring balances, okay? So to cover the remaining balance, this is where we have a listing of some other resources. I mentioned the outside scholarships, the savings plans, the 529s, money from maybe friends or family, etc. So this is all after the gift aid. Now, how do we address that? We like to recommend responsible private loans, such as the Affinity and Sallie Mae loan that you see here, which is our Smart Option student loan. This is available for students who are attending full-time or half-time, or even less than half-time, maybe taking prerequisite classes, etc. If you have an existing balance to pay for a semester that's going to begin, or for a past due balance, maybe a semester that just ended, and you still have an outstanding balance there, you can use this particular loan in both scenarios. There are no fees. You can borrow up to the cost of attendance, meaning that you can borrow for some of those other expenses, like fees, books, housing, additional meals, some transportation costs, even the laptop, as I mentioned. No fees, and a interest rate reduction, in this case of 0.25, a quarter of 1%, once you go into repayment for making payments on time. Since this particular loan is a student loan, the student is the primary borrower. Most traditional, first-time 18-year-old, 19-year-old students would require a cosigner. It is a credit-based loan, so the cosigner can help them access the funding. And then we have a program called cosigner release, in which the cosigner can get released from liability after 12 months of on-time payments once the student graduates. Okay, at that point, and actually a caveat to that, it's 12 months of on-time payments or the equivalent payment of 12 months. So it could be one lump sum for the equivalent of the 12 months of monthly payments after graduation, and the cosigner gets released from liability, and then the student remains on the loan. Tuition payment plans. Many colleges offer their own version of payment plans. Sometimes they partner with an entity as well. But this is a good way, good resource to help students and families by giving them the ability to spread out payments over time, typically one semester or 2 semesters at a time. Think, the full academic year. These plans can reduce the total need to borrow by the amount that you have available to pay down in these plans. So maybe instead of taking out a $10,000 loan, you take out a $7,000 loan and you make a payment plan for the $3,000. That's an example. Some plans, however, they do have fees or an interest charge. So you need to check with the school. And again, the school will either manage their own plan or work with an outside provider who manages the payments for them. So to wrap up, there's many financing options are available. There is no one size fits all approach. We do recommend that you remember the 1, 2, 3 approach, in which you start with money that you don't have to pay back, free money. Second, you move on to exploring your federal student loan options in form of that direct subsidized or unsubsidized loan. And then third, consider some responsible loan options and payment plans. And again, I say responsible, there's usually a recommended list that the school may refer you to. You can certainly ask about the Affinity program with Sally Mae. Responsible in which that there's no origination fees, there's no prepayment penalties, etc. So hopefully that will be enough to zero out your balance for the year. And don't forget that this is an annual process. So if you're planning on a 4-year degree, you'll be going through the FAFSA application 4 times. If you're going to graduate school, it's 4 times plus the number of years that you'll be going to graduate school. So just keep that in mind. That October 1st new application timeframe rolls around pretty quickly. So you want to stay on top of that. So I am going to pass it back to Oscar. See if there were any questions that came in. Okay. Oscar, maybe you're still on mute. I don't hear you, but I don't necessarily see any questions in the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Ed. I'm here.
Okay.
And thank you everybody for attending. Let me just take a look at the chat or QA. So no, I don't see any questions in the QA and I don't see anything in the chat. Well, I would like to just give a little bit of time for everyone to type in their questions if they have one. So as you guys do that, a quick reminder, this presentation is being recorded and everybody will get a link to the presentation to be watched later on and be shared with friends and family. Let me just take a look. There's a comment in the chat. Just somebody, one of our members thanking us for doing this. So you're welcome. This is what we're here for. Besides that, I don't see any other questions. So, all right. So at this point, I would like to bring this webinar to a close. So I want to thank everybody for attending the weekly webinar by Affinity Federal Credit Union. I would like to thank Ed for delivering this topic to our audience this afternoon. I don't know if you have any parting words, Ed.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to, again, thank you for the invitation to attend, and really just to keep everyone up to date. This is something, it's never too soon to start looking at those scholarship resources. So, that's the first thing I would do if I was a parent of, let's just say, anything other than a high school senior right now. So it's never too soon, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, get into one of those scholarship databases, register yourself, and familiarize yourself with all the various scholarships that are out there. But
Absolutely.
That's about it.
Absolutely. My oldest, he's 15 and he's in 10th grade right now. He's about to turn 16. And he's already looking and trying to figure this out. So I know it's a lot, but thank you so much for the guidance, Ed.
Excellent.
All right, so great. So at this point, I'll close the webinar. Thank you everybody for attending, and you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.